Step 1. I'm Ted Jervis, and this is ZNS.
The Rundown is brought to you by Commonwealth Brewery Limited. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us again for another evening. Well, Bahamian shoppers are seeing a welcome change at the checkout counter. Cheaper eggs. That's a big welcome, right? But most of these eggs, they're coming from one of the world's largest egg producers outside the Bahamas. Super Value yesterday, slashing prices by sourcing from international suppliers. However, it raised questions about where the eggs came from. And of course, that's what Bahamians are talking about. Devontae Hanna has been following this story for us. He has an update. He joins me live in the studio tonight. Devontae, what is the latest with this egg saga?
Well, Clint, for months, Bahamians have been feeling the pinch at grocery stores as egg prices continue to soar, as you mentioned, but we've reported that Super Value has managed to lower the cost, selling a dozen eggs for as little as $3.79, and they credit sourcing outside the United States for it. Here's what we know. Now, while Super Value has been mum on the source of those eggs, ZNS understands the supplier is a company based in the Dominican Republic. The grocer's CEO, Deborah Simonet, has shared that the deal was subjected to observation and subsequent approval by the Bahamas Agricultural, Health and Food Safety Authority.
We would have had to obtain a permit from the agency that's responsible for approving the any products like that are brought in.
And while the United States remains one of the country's leading trading partners, Senator the Honorable Barry Griffin, Deputy Chairman of the Bahamas Trade Commission, says sourcing things like eggs in this instance just makes sense to cut out the middleman.
Many goods that are labor intensive will likely be cheaper in other countries. And that's what we're seeing, for example, in Latin American market. The labor is cheaper in Latin America, and so they're able to produce fruits, vegetables, and other commodities, for example, such as eggs, at a much lower rate.
Meantime, Simonet says more savings are on the way, especially as the government is set to introduce its 50% VAT slash on April 1st.
If we find products that are good at a good price, and we know that they're safe, of good quality, we will definitely bring them in so that we can offer customers.
Well, just yesterday alone, Super Value says that they sold about 5 containers of eggs, which they estimate holds up to 600 cases per container. They've now limited customers to just 2 to 4 cartons. We saw those photos yesterday of how the shelves were empty. And while shoppers will enjoy savings on eggs, more is on the way. We are told that shops across the country and across several products will also see those reductions.
No, I know. We know how payments go.
Yes.
We call for something to happen. It happens, and then we get very skeptical about, well, are these, eggs that have been removed from somewhere? What do we know? Because, we've seen things online in Turks and Caicos Islands about eggs that may not be good or anything. What do we know?
Well, the Turks and Caicos government actually confiscated 25,000 eggs, and it was actually an illegal shipment. It is important to note that those eggs were not contaminated, but it was just an illegal shipment passing through the Turks and Caicos Islands. It was hidden in the back of a trailer. The Department of Agriculture intercepted, confiscated, and completely destroyed. So we are certain that the eggs in Super Value did not come from that illegal shipment.
So from all indications, these are pretty good eggs.
Pretty good eggs.
Golden eggs.
Yeah. They're pretty good eggs. And like I said to Makushla, many people probably had them for breakfast this morning. Yeah. Or you probably had a donut or a cake or something that had these eggs in it that you bought yesterday from Super Value. And what we understand is that these same savings will continue across several stores. And speaking to some sources earlier today, they said, you can expect it on food items like milk, chicken, all of these things that we use constantly in the kitchen. You're gonna get ask a cheaper price for it simply because the wholesalers and the retailers are sourcing them outside of the United States of America.
So there appears to be this concerted effort to try and reduce the price we pay on goods.
Yes.
It's been something the government has been touting about, reducing the cost of living.
Yeah.
So are we now seeing measures taking place actually to cause that to happen?
It seems so. And then, as we said, once you add on that 5% decrease in VAT in the coming weeks, it'll just be further savings for this administration. But rather further savings for the Bahamian people from this administration.
Yeah.
And they've been talking about diversifying our trade for such a long time. And now that we're going outside the United States, we're going to get low prices. So we're going to be able to get meat from places like Brazil. And these are, keep in mind that these are places that the United States actually source the items for. So we're cutting out the middleman, which is the United States, who are simply just repackaging food items, and we're getting it directly from where it is being made. And that means that that extra couple of dollars will be in our pockets here in the capital and across this country.
All right, well, we're going to watch and see if it works. Good news all around. Yeah. And I guess we'll watch and see it. You've been asking for it, so don't criticize it and question it when that begins to happen. You've been asking for government to find some way to cut the cost of food prices at the food stores. They're looking at ways to do it, and we're actually now seeing it come to fruition. So we'll watch and see how it pans out.
And it should be a little bit more easier for people to get some more items, looking at the fact that we've saw a minimum wage increase over this last administration and so much other measures put in place. I mean, the cost of living is an issue that we cannot ignore, but when we look at BPL and all of the different cuts that we've seen in several sectors, there is an avenue for us to tackle this issue of the cost of living and ensuring that more Bahamians are able to put foods on the table, keep water and light on in their homes. And so I'm happy to see it. We'll see how long it lasts. We'll see if they stay true and provide further savings. Of course, this is developing stories that we'll follow.
And of course, we're going to see if other stores are going to follow like soup. This is just one food chain. Let's see if it's across the board.
Yes, and we're told that several stores are now looking at different avenues to source items outside the United States.
All right, great reporting. Thank you, Devontae Hanna reporting. Thank you, good work. Well, tonight we dive into the political journey of a man who once positioned himself as a great disruptor of Bahamian politics, a man who founded a party promising change, but ultimately stepped away from its leadership, a man who has worn many hats, F&M, DNA, but where does he stand today? And perhaps the biggest question of all, what's next? Does Granville McCartney, do you remember that name, have another run left in him? Or has the Bahamas moved on from him as a political force? More importantly, does he even want back in, or is he content to focus on his legal career while leaving politics behind for good? Tonight, we're going to get those answers from you. No dodging, no political spins, just the truth. My guest tonight, politician and attorney Granville McCartney. We'll talk to him. We'll be here at the desk when the rundown comes back after this break. Stay close.
Hi, everyone. When heading to Florida to shop for your essentials, book your transportation with GoGoFlorida.com. The $100 cash deposit is back now on your debit card. Accepted at Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Palm Beach, and Orlando. Now, there are lots of options to choose from, but I like the Tesla X, the electric vehicle, because I don't have to worry about gassing up. Or the Jeep Compass Seating 5 with lots of space for your luggage or shopping bags. For the best deals, book now at GoGoFlorida.com, BahamasAir.com, and also available at Bahamas Air Sales Office.
Mailboat service is a critical service to the islands of the Bahamas. Certainly, Andrews has always been there and dear to us. That's where we're born and raised. And so we play a crucial role in advancing the growth and development of Andrews. Customers want service and they want consistency. From the start, that's been our commitment. We work to sail on time every time. Our customers have come now to expect this from us. And one of the biggest challenges we've had was finding adequate funding. SPDC from the very start has been a lifesaver. My advice to young people, if you have a vision, a passion, an idea, go for it. Don't give up. It's not easy. If it was, everybody will be doing it. Be consistent and you'll get there.
Welcome back to The Rundown. It's great to have all of you with us. I see all of you who are joining us in the Lion's Den. Great to have you. And those of you watching by YouTube, watching wherever you're getting your streams from around the region, from other countries in the region and around the world, welcome to The Rundown. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. Well, tonight we sit with former Cabinet Minister and DNA leader, Granville McCartney. I want to welcome him to The Rundown. Sir, it is always a pleasure to have you. Welcome here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
There's so much we could talk about. There's so much I think the Bahamian people want to know tonight. And first of all, let's just talk about how you've been over the past few years since removing from frontline politics. How have you been?
I've been trying to find something to get the gray out of my hair because of politics. I've been good, though. Taking one day at a time. Practicing or trying to practice law, cooking in my kitchen on a Sunday, and trying to enjoy life.
Do you miss it? Do you miss politics?
I miss aspects of politics. I don't like politics.
You don't?
No, not politics. Because politics takes on a different meaning, you know. I like to see getting things done for the benefit of the country. That's what I miss. I miss when I represented Bamboo Town, being with my constituents and the seniors and the children. I miss that. I miss the little opportunities I had when I was in cabinet to make a difference wherever it was for the positive. I miss that.
You served in cabinet under a prime minister that many people tout as being firm-handed in his decisions, the Right Honourable Hubert Ingram. And while I'm calling his name, our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. He buried his daughter today, and so we do want him to know that he's in our thoughts and prayers. But you served under a man who was very firm. What was it like serving in an Ingram cabinet?
I think it's a good experience. You have to be firm to run this country. You know, I'm always very grateful to have been given that opportunity by Mr. Ingram. And, you know, he allowed me, firstly, I was the Junior Minister of Tourism, Aviation, had responsibility for meteorology as well as gaming for a year. And then he sent me to immigration. And it was an experience, you know, with Mr. Ingram being a firm leader. That's what we need in this country. Firm, direct, to the point.
Do you think we've had a firm leader like him since?
In their own right, yes. In their own right. Everybody has a different way of going about it. Mr. Ingram had his way. Mr. Christie, of course, Lyndon Pindling, Dr. Minnis, and now Prime Minister Brave Davis. They have their own different technique of firmness, I'm sure. I know specifically about Mr. Ingram because I served under him in his cabinet, you know.
We look at immigration. You serve as Minister of State and Minister responsible for immigration. Is this problem bigger than we think it is?
Yes. It's been there. It's been there before I even came about. I think our concern is having the political will to deal with it. Unfortunately, I don't think we do have the political will to deal with it. Especially around the political season.
What does it require? You say we don't have the political will. What does it require to address the immigration problem in this country?
I think we need to. We have certain laws that surround immigration, where persons who've been here, they have a right to make certain applications and what have you. I think we need to carry out those laws and ensure that those persons who have a right to be here is carried out. When it comes down to protecting our borders, we need to do a much better job than that, because I have no doubt a lot of illegal immigration in terms of persons coming here illegally and living here illegally is really through the help of Bahamians who are here.
Right.
You know? So I think that has to be addressed. So if we are able to look at that, and that falls under corruption.
I was
you know,
about to ask you about that.
That falls under corruption. So if we're able to look at that, I think we can minimize. There will always be illegal immigration, not only in the Bahamas but around the world. But we can minimize it, I think. But you have to have the political will to do it.
You say political will as though there may be a connection to those who are gaining from this illegal practice.
Yeah, I mean, you have, yes, of course. I mean, you know, the Haitian population, which is the largest illegal population in the Bahamas, from my understanding, they have certain ties in the Bahamas, and especially when it comes down to elections and what have you, they have a certain block of voters. So, you know, political parties have to tread carefully when it's an election period or election cycle, because they want the vote. They want to win, and they want that vote. So there's a certain period of time when the administration of the day can deal with the illegal immigration in particular. But now when it comes down to an election time, if election is out, if you have a year and a half out, well, you're gonna tread carefully. And so nothing happens in that regard. I've seen it. We've seen it over many political cycles. Many political cycles. So, but you have to have the political will to do what is good for the country overall at the end of the day. Notwithstanding politics, and that's why I said I don't like politics, because politics sometimes become very personal, or they lose sight of doing what is good for the country, no matter what, even to your detriment.
Would you, as an immigration minister, like to have done more, but felt your hands were tied?
To a certain extent. To a certain extent, yes. But you know, I was just a mere minister.
I want to talk about what we see happening in our country and in the economy. The biggest thing, of course, is the cost of living, how to reduce it. What do you see, what is your take on being able to address the cost of living in the Bahamas and bring it down?
Well, I see you had a segment here about the reduction of eggs, and I would commend the government. I know several months ago they indicated that they're going to put in a policy where goods, food items in particular, can be sourced elsewhere. I take it this is the first step.
Correct.
And I certainly commend them for that. And I look forward to other products, other food items in particular, being brought in that vein. Of course, with the checks and balances of the quality of the food that's brought in. The electricity in this country that has been a vexing problem for many years. I know that the government has indicated that there's going to be some type of reduction.
Right.
I think for the first time, I saw a reduction in my electricity bill, I think, last month. And I thank you, Jesus. I thank you for that. But I think that's a step in the right direction. The government has spoken recently about the reduction in VAT to 5%. It's a start. So I think the government is trying, from what I see as an outsider, trying to do certain things to bring down the cost of the cost of living. What's important, though, I think there has to be more investment by the government in our greatest resource, and that greatest resource is our people. We need to build the people.
How do you do that?
So that the people can build the country. You build the people through education. similar to what has transpired in Singapore. Singapore is very similar to what the Bahamas used to be. Singapore went from a third world country to a first world country. What Lee Kuan Yew did at that time, he invested in the only resource they had, which was their people. You build the people, and the people build the country. You build the people through education. You build them by being once they're educated and providing opportunities for them, not giving them things. You don't give people things. Giving them an opportunity or providing an opportunity for them to build themselves and the country. I'm sure you know that we lack in this country persons to do the job.
Yeah.
It is beyond frustrating to get people to work in this country. They don't have the mindset.
Yeah.
They don't have the mindset. And of course, that's why people look elsewhere to other persons who are willing and able to do the job. In this country, we have persons who are not even able to do the job. They can't fill out an application form, for instance. And then those who are able to do the job, they get paid on a Friday, have a few drinks, and have a hangover until the following Tuesday. The work ethic in this country is deplorable.
It is.
So we need to build our people. We need to build our people. We need to invest in our people and building them and demanding and directing education, discipline for us to move forward.
So having said that, are you saying then that we're looking in the wrong places for development in this country? We're saying, oh, what is government doing? Oh, I don't get this contract. Oh, I don't have this opportunity. Oh, I can't get a job here. Rather than looking and seeing, am I capable? Am I qualified? Am I willing? Am I able?
That's the first step.
Looking this way.
That's the first
not
step.
That way.
That's right. You have to. That's the first step. You know, I'm involved in several businesses, and finding persons to work is a difficulty. Very, very, very difficult. We have to look within ourselves first, right? Now, of course, any government or administration, you know, they sometimes have their people that they may cherry pick to accommodate. But the reality is, for the majority of our working population, they're not capable. That's reality. They're not capable. It's frustrating to no end. They're not capable. And we have to, as a people, take pride in ourselves, to build ourselves. And whether the government provides or otherwise, you'll be able to provide for yourself. That's how it should be.
Do you believe we build a culture in politics where we cloak people and we encourage this dependency on I'll give you if you give me a mentality, rather than supporting people to prepare themselves to be able to take care of themselves in the future?
Yeah, well, that goes back a long time. I mean, from the UBP days.
Exactly.
That goes back from the UBP.
We've seen it every cycle.
Yeah, that goes back, you know.
So can that be broken?
It can be, but it is going. Again, you know, I like to use this word political will. And sometimes political will means you have to do certain things that may not be very popular, may not be something that the populace would appreciate, but it's for the betterment of the individual and the country as a whole. And you have to have the political will to do that, right? Unfortunately, for many cycles, we don't have that political will throughout, on all sides. You know, if leaders go in there with the idea, look, I want to better this country, no matter what, even if it means losing the next election, I'm going to better the country, I think we'll have a better country. But we go in there to win for the next time, and we lose sight of the bigger picture of developing this country, moving this country forward it's a shame where our country is today, you know.
Why do you say that?
I've had an opportunity to travel practically around the world. I've seen other countries like the Bahamas, less fortunate than the Bahamas, but we are at a state 51 plus years later where we're still trying to find our way. When in fact I think we should be way beyond that, way beyond that.
Do you think it has to do with the fact that for the past 25 years, every 5 years, we change an administration, so no administration is able to effectively carry out their plan?
To a certain extent.
To keep resetting. To keep hitting the reset button.
To a certain extent, that can play a factor. But, you know, whether administrations change or otherwise, it should be those who come in to have the mindset to guide this country for the better. And I think what I've found when we have our political leaders come into the country, come into governance, they lose sight of that. They lose sight of that, and you know, it becomes, I think, a bit more personal in terms of what can I do for my party or for me or my colleagues, as opposed to what can I do for the country.
It becomes all about
for the country,
the group of people rather than the country.
And that goes across the board, right? And if they have the mindset of what I can do for this country to move this country forward, then, you know, they would have obtained the objective as well. Because if you move the country forward, persons benefit, everybody benefits, including those who they wanted to benefit, right? But unfortunately, I don't think we have the mindset to do that.
I want to talk about your move to establish a new movement in the political arena, the DNA.
All right.
And whether you see it now as failure, whether you see it as success, what happened, what went wrong, and where are we today? We're going to talk about that when we come back after the break.
Good.
Stay with us. You're watching A Rundown with Granville McCartney. We're back after this.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting TingsyBahamas.com.
Hi, Phil Swift here for the Flex Seal family of flood protection products. Our flood protection products are specifically designed to work together in order to create multiple layers of super strong protection. All these windows, doors, seams, and openings have all been sealed up tight. Now there's a new way to protect your home or business from damaging floodwaters. Get the removable Flex Seal family of flood protection products.
Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, we have been in Exuma now for the past 4 years, carrying out our paving program. A part of our company's philosophy is to do some work to international standards. So when you look at our paving division, we have a state-of-the-art lab to do all of our testing in-house, as well as a state-of-the-art asphalt plant with a trained technician carrying out the work on that site. The overarching goal of our company is to produce the work that we're doing in the entire Bahamas to international standards. We also make a difference by the training of our staff. We have a very intensive training program going on to where we are teaching young men how to learn the art of striping. Being a young man myself, I've made mistakes in the past. I was given a second chance to better my life, and it's only fitting that we pass that along. What's important for us is giving them a second chance for them to get a skill and a career that could take them further in life.
Imagine a training hub for career, technical, and vocational excellence. A center that transforms academics to application, preparing confident, competent, and competitive future leaders. An institution that benchmarks industry best practices and can serve as a feeder to reduce employment gaps right here in the Bahamas. Welcome to the Bahamas Polytechnic Accreditation and Training Hub, BPATH, which is that institution and will transform the face of career and technical education and training in the Bahamas forever. Here, hands-on learning and real-work problem-solving collide to create an explosion of critical analysis and collaboration. Students' interests and giftedness will align with a diverse base of programs intended to prepare them to continue studies or enjoy tertiary-level training and future employment. Our Construction Academy will expose students to the art of furniture making, drywall installation, electrical installation, and HVAC, while our Automotive Academy will address hybrid and electrical vehicles, including the logistics of fleet management. The information technology and coding programs are most exciting and will provide a nudge to our budding programmers and AI creators and challenge them to create the next best creative venture. And who better to tell the story of BPATH other than the students in the Academy of Communications, who will explore the creativity of effective storytelling and the media available to offer such stories for consumption. Our Academy of Sustainability will explore sustainability through agriculture, food preservation, and indigenous entrepreneurship. While advanced skills training is paramount, a critical component of this institution will be the professional credentialing of our students, who will enter to be trained and exit to excel. Having completed 2 years of dual enrollment, intense, advanced training, and satisfying the expected outcomes, graduates will personify excellence, career, and technical education and training, building bridges, closing gaps, one student at a time. These are indeed exciting times in education.
Welcome back to The Rundown. My guest tonight is Branville McCartney, and we're having a very interesting discussion. And in this segment, I want to talk about the DNA, which he was a founding leader, but we're going to learn some interesting things about this. You became leader of the DNA as an independent. You were an independent member in Parliament.
Correct.
You had moved from the F&M to being independent.
All right.
Why did you leave the F&M to become independent?
A number of issues. I think the last straw was the sale of the BPL. And it was something that all members...
BTC.
BTC, sorry, BTC. BTC, all members were supposed to agree. And I couldn't agree with that.
Why?
Who we were selling it to, the cost of the sale, and the right thing to do in a Westminster system. If you cannot agree,
that's the honorable thing.
You step down. I couldn't agree with the leadership of the F&M at the time, and so I stepped down.
BTC hasn't been the same since.
It's never been the same.
Do you still believe that you did make the right decision?
Absolutely. No regrets. Absolutely. I mean, listen, the facts speak for themselves as to BTC as it is now. Period. End of story. So I stepped down, became an independent member, and over the course of a few months, several persons approached me, and you know, there was never any thought of starting a party or anything, but several persons approached me, and it was about 13 persons. And we got together and we formed the DNA.
So it wasn't your idea?
I did not form the DNA it wasn't Brian McCartney.
It wasn't you?
No, it was a group of persons. I was the only one out of that group who was in the House of Assembly. And during that period of time, it was they made me leader, right? And so the DNA was formed, and I think at the end of the day we made history. We were formed 11 months prior to the election of 2012, I think it was, and we garnered, within 11 months, we ran a full slate and garnered about, I think, over 8% of the vote.
That perhaps was the best,
in 11 months.
The best elections.
It was the best.
Every election since, they've done worse.
Yeah.
What happened? Why you moved away?
Well, the first election cycle, we were not successful. And I remained a leader of the party. We went into the next election cycle, I think it was, again, in 2017. And we were not successful. Now, under the DNA's constitution, you could only be leader of that party for 2 terms.
You can't go any more than 2 terms.
Can't go any more. I was one of the persons who crafted the Constitution, so I craft myself right out of being a leader, you know. But be it as it may, it was based on the fact that had the DNA become the government, although we don't have the law of 2 terms for...
You'd have created something.
It was in the constitution of that party, and you could have only been prime minister for 2 terms.
2 terms.
Anyway, we had the same scenario when it comes down to leadership. So after the 2017 election, I had no other choice but to step down. A lot of people said, well, boy, you stepped down, you quit, blah, 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 blah. That was certainly not the case. That was part of the constitution of the DNA.
You then had an interim leader.
We had an interim leader who was Chris Mortimer. And then they had a convention, and Kamalafi became and was successful in becoming the leader. Then there was an election after that. DNA was not successful. I think Kamalafi stepped down, and your guess is as good as mine as to what's happening with the DNA.
Is it still existing?
Your guess is as good as mine when it comes to DNA. I don't know. I don't know.
So we don't know whether we'll see the DNA in the upcoming general election.
I haven't heard anything about it, which is very, very unfortunate. The DNA had a very, very good platform. But unfortunately, it is what it is.
What do you think went wrong? It really went downhill. Marinta Komalafi took the helm, and then there were so many issues coming out of leadership there and issues there. What do you think went wrong? Why the DNA, which initially presented itself as perhaps a viable third option, and people started believing, okay, maybe there could be a third party after all.
Right.
What do you think killed that?
The Bahamian people.
Why do you say the Bahamian people?
People, they don't like change. It's as simple as that. The mindset of the Bahamian people, they don't like change. They stuck on stupid, period. And that's why we are where we are in this country today. They don't like change, and they settle for mediocrity, right? They settle for mediocrity. They don't like change.
Is that a Bahamian thing, or is that an international thing? Because world over, two-party systems seem to be dominating in most countries.
Not really. You've had in England, you've had 3 parties.
Coalitions.
You've had coalitions.
Parties.
Canada, same thing.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the government in Canada now, I think, is a coalition party. Right.
Canada and UK.
Yeah. And other countries, you have a number of different parties in the in Parliament, right? Some of them collating together. So in close to us, the United States, you have the Democrats and the Republican, and that's what we hear and we see all the time. But around the world, they have other parties. The bottom line is, our Bahamian people, where's the camera? This one here? Our Bahamian people, we need to get out of this rut. At the end of the day, We need to know your worth and be in a position where change sometimes is good. Change is good. And as I always used to say, you know, if you keep on doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, it's insanity. And that's where we've been for quite some time.
The Coalition of Independents believe they're now the third party that is providing a viable option. They believe that they can get support. Do you think so?
I would hope so. But I would hope so. I would hope so. You know, and I think, you know, they've been bringing a lot of things to the forefront. But, you know, the support comes from the people. And like I said, listen, man, when I was in the DNA, persons would say, boy, Brian, we got you, man. And they would come out and all this foolishness and, Jesus, election day, man, they don't even talk to you. They don't even talk to you, man. They wear yellow or red, and they walk right past you. They listen, to answer your question, the COI is the other party in the arena now. I would love to see them make some good traction and be in the House of Assembly in some form or fashion. I think it'll be good for our country.
Third parties try to be the big boys too soon instead of just focusing on perhaps maybe one or two constituencies where they can get the support. They try to run a full slate, spread themselves too thin, and at the end of the day, they may pick up a number of votes, but when you look at each constituency, it's never enough to win a constituency. Should there be a focus on a constituency?
I think it should be focused all around, because the mindset of the Bahamian people say, man, you only running
you ain't serious.
People, you ain't serious. I ain't gonna waste my vote here because you ain't gonna win, you ain't gonna be the government in any event, so I ain't gonna waste my vote. I go, you know.
Right. Very, very.
And so it's best to try run as many people as possible. In the DNA, we ran a full slate, you know, and but that didn't help. That didn't help either. So, you know, we need to. We just need our mindset as Bahamian people need to change, you know, and I think if that happens, I think we could see our country progress a bit more. But until then, we could be stuck in the same rut over and over again, each different election cycle, you know, and hopefully, well, I don't know. Next question.
I'm going to turn, you know where I'm going. I'm going to turn to it. I'm going to turn to it. You came out after a long time not in front line, you talking about politics. You came out and you endorsed the F&M.
No. You're talking about the leadership run?
Yes.
No, I supported Dr. Hubert Minnis.
You supported Dr. Minnis.
Dr. Minnis. That was a leadership run.
So that
June of last year.
So to you, you were separating him from your support for the party then?
Well, I'm not part of the F&M anymore.
Do you support the F&M?
No, I support what is good for this country, whether it's part of the PLP, F&M, or otherwise, the COI or otherwise. I want to see what's good for the country. At that time, how it came about, I was asked, out of the leaders of the country, who do you think would be better? The leaders of the country at the time was Michael Pintard and Hubert Minnis running for leader of the F&M, and of course the Prime Minister Brave Davis was there. So basically three, and in my view, Dr. Minnis was a better man.
Why do you believe he was better?
I think he had to deal with circumstances that no other prime minister had to deal with, and he got a bad rap. These Bahamian people decided to say he locked us down, you know? And if he didn't lock you down, some of y'all wouldn't have been here to even talk about it, you know. But that's just the psyche of the Bahamian people. I go back to that. He had to deal with 2 hurricanes. He had to deal with the pandemic, and at the same time, he still maintained the economy. Certain things that this administration, quite frankly, is dealing with today is based on the menace, what the menace administration had put there. So I thought he got a bad break, quite frankly, and I think he ought to have had another opportunity. So when Dr. Minnis was running for the leadership, I supported him. Not that I was part of the FNL. I supported Dr. Minnis. All right?
He didn't win.
No.
Do you believe that was a missed opportunity for the FNL?
Yes. Yeah. I go back to, I think Dr. Minnis would be the best person at this stage.
You still believe that?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Your view of him being the better person to lead, obviously you're not the only one in the FNM. He has his supporters in the party who believe the same thing. That's dangerous going into a general election where a party still has, almost appears to be divided as to who should lead.
No, well, the party has a leader now.
Right.
The question that was asked is whether, what I believe, the party has a leader. They have to, going into the election, they have to all go behind their leader, support their leader, to move forward to be a formidable opponent in the upcoming election.
Do you think?
So they've had a convention that has been set. The party has determined who they want. The leader's Michael Pintard, and that's who they need to follow and support.
Do you think he has the ability to win an election, Michael Pintard?
Yes, I think so. I think he can win. No doubt, I think he can win. And that will be determined in the next few months, you know? But yes, I think he has the ability.
Do you foresee Dr. Minnis being a part of running with the FNM? He appears not to be backing off and saying, I'm done with politics. He wants to run in his seat in Killarney.
FNM would be foolish not to run him.
You think so?
Absolutely. Why? Why wouldn't you want to run a man who is in Killarney, who's been there, I think, this is going to be his 4th or 5th time running, who is well liked, who will win? Who will win? Why don't you want to run him?
If
the bottom line is, Dr. Minnis, why wouldn't you want to run Dr. Minnis? I think it will be a detriment to the FNM, and they'll be handing the election to the PLP if they don't do that.
If they don't run Dr. Minnis, do you think they will regret it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because,
why would you be so foolish not to run him? Why would you be so foolish not to run him? If you got some personal, look, man, let me go back to this thing. This is politics. If you got some personal beef, keep that to yourself. You need to win. You need to try win an election, right? You will regret it if that doesn't happen. And I don't see any reason why it should. What's the problem? I don't know. I asked that same question today to a FNM senior man. What the hell is the problem?
What was your answer?
He don't know either. What the hell? I mean, be real now. Don't get personal. This ain't about personality. This is about if they want to try and win an election. You don't know how it'll turn out, but if they want to try and win an election, don't be foolish and do things that will split the party or cause dissension within the party. You need to come together. You need to come together and fight the next election. Otherwise, dog eat your lunch. Bray will have you for lunch. No doubt about that.
We're going to take our final break.
No doubt about that.
We're back after this to run down.
We're here at the Nassau Village Community Center project, where over the past 17 months, we've hired over 20 Bahamian subcontractors to bring this beautiful project to fruition.
I've been living in Nassau Village for more than 19 years, and to see a project like this brings great joy and pride to me.
This state-of-the-art multi-purpose community center will serve as a crime-fighting initiative in the community. Also help with the education of our kids in this community and a hurricane shelter.
Yeah, and it also shows what we as Bahamians can achieve when we work hand in hand with each other.
We have the technical know-how, and we can pretty much deliver on any project here in the Bahamas or in the world.
Bahamas Stripe and the Bahamian Company, they prove that they believe in Bahamians.
Based on the outcome of this project, I don't think they're disappointed in giving a small person an opportunity to do a job such as this.
The more opportunity they get, the more opportunity we will get.
If you look around and see the work done so far, it just shows what we as Bahamians can do.
Is the Little Caesars Stuffed Crust Pizza. Get more pizza for less money. Only $12. It's a whole new level of pizza with cheese stuffed crust so spectacular that there's nothing left.
Pizza.
A delicious pepperoni pizza with the crust stuffed with lots of cheese and brushed with butter and garlic flavor and sprinkled with Parmesan cheese. Hot and ready Thursday to Saturday between 4 and 8 for only $12. Simply irresistible. And only at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
I am a master plumber by profession. I've been doing plumbing for over 40 odd years. When I was 9 months old, I was diagnosed with polio. To me, living with polio, I took it the way it is. I never allowed my polio to get in my way of anything. In fact, I love when people doubt me, and I just prove them wrong. And let me tell you, in the world, you could only find a plumber as good as me, but you ain't gonna find no plumber better than me. People with disability, they just need a chance. In this program, I feel so encouraged. Most of the mentors have different kind of disability, but disabilities like me. Sharing and caring and showing so much support with people with disability. They would encourage you to go beyond. I wish this was around a long time ago. Right now, I would have been a millionaire. You out there who have a disability, don't be afraid. Take the step. If you believe it, you could achieve it. And remember one thing, ain't no one better than me, and ain't no one better than y'all. God made all us equal.
For more information about how the SBDC can help your small business to make a big impact, give us a call at 461-7232 or visit sbdcbahamas.com.
Welcome back to The Rundown. We're in the final moments of the show. My guest has been Bradville McCartney. We've been having a very candid discussion tonight on politics and his role in DNA, his support for Dr. Hubert Minnis. And I guess the only question that's left to ask is, will you run again or are you done?
I've learned one thing, I was a magistrate many years ago, and I learned it through several cases I presided over. You never say never.
Right.
But at this stage, you know, I honestly just want to see what is good for the country. I'm not getting into frontline politics at this stage or for this next election cycle. But you never say never. But at this stage, I'm not getting into it. What I see and what I think about every day, though, is what is good for the country. We have a government that's in now. I want to see this government do well, because if the government does well, the country does well.
What is it with us as Bahamians, right? Because of our political affiliances, support, we can't. It's hard to say, I want a government to do well, because I live in the Bahamas, I want it to succeed, but we feel as if we're betraying because that may not be the government I voted for, and then there's this concern as if, you know, can you really say it, or are you betraying an administration because you say you support them? Should, as Bahamians, we not want to see our government succeed?
You should, but I'll use that term again about Bahamians and how they think. Unfortunately, they're stuck on stupid. They're stuck on stupid. If you have a government that's in, you must want to see, whether it's the party you support or not, you want the best for that government, and you want them to do the best, because if they succeed, the country succeeds, right? That's the bottom line. Now, when it comes down to the election cycle and stuff like that, you deal with that. But you ought to support, quite frankly, and encourage, advise where you can, any administration that's in, to do good. Because if they do good, you do good, the country will do good. When the PLP won the last time, I said, man, I said it on the show, I said, look, I wish them well. I hope they do well. I still hope they do well. They have done well in certain circumstances, and in other circumstances they haven't, just like any other administration, right? But us Bahamians as a whole, if you support a different party, and that party is not in government, and if that party does, the governing party does something good, they can't find it within themselves to say, man, I think that was a good initiative. I applaud the government. I encourage the government to keep moving forward in that regard. Right. They can't do it. The majority of Bahamians can't do it because, like you say, man, I'm a big general in this party. I can't be saying that publicly. But it ain't about party at the end of the day. It ain't about who you support as a political party. It's about the country, man. It's this little small country. This little small country that could be so more advanced. It's all about the country first, not party, you know? Not party. I give an example too. When I was in the F&M and I became the member of parliament for Bamboo Town, the headquarters was painted the colors of the F&M. Now, I initiated several programs, and I realized certain people not coming, especially the seniors, right? So, and I had made it a point. I said, man, if I ever got in, man, I'm going to have this program for the seniors and so on and so forth. I noticed some of them were not coming. So I went and I asked, and, you know, they had in their mind, well, you want under the F&M, your headquarters is painted the F&M colors. So they felt that they couldn't come there.
Wow.
But the bottom line is I became the MP for Bamboo Town, whether you're PLP, F&M, independent, or otherwise, I represent anyone. So you know what I did? I changed the color of the constituency office to olive green, just before DNA now.
Right.
To the olive green. And
I remember that.
Senior citizens start coming in, because I represented everyone, whether you voted for me or not. I was the MP for everybody. And you talk about politics, that was some of the best times I've had when I was in politics. Every Friday, had something by my headquarters for the senior citizens. They wanted to ensure that I had their red wine, because it's good for the heart. You know, had that red wine there, but we had food, we had drinks, we had games, you know. And, you know, I actually learned things I could not read in a book.
Wow.
Because those seniors who were there, they taught me about the Bahamas of old. They taught me about life, you know? And I think I got more out of it than they did.
My final question would you simply be this. Do you believe we're too divided as a nation?
I think the politics, and we go back, same thing from the beginning, I think politics infiltrates too much of our thinking. And I guess it's because we're a small country, but I think politics blurs our view as to what is best for the country. Like I said, if you're an F&M and the PLP has done something good, you can't find them saying anything good about the PLP. And vice versa, you can't find the PLP saying anything good about the F&M if they did good in at their time. And that's wrong. As a matter of fact, that's immature. That's like little children on the playground. If you do something good, if you started some initiative and it's working and it's benefiting the country, you don't when you get in, dismantle it.
Right.
You build on it, and you give the credit to who started it. That's how it should be done. But these... Oh, Jesus, Clint. It's ridiculous, man. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
We gotta hope it gets better. Sir, thank you for coming on the Rundown.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much for the invite.
It's always a pleasure talking with you.
My pleasure.
Some good words of thought tonight.
Yeah.
All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
That does it for the Rundown. Be sure to stay locked on the ZNS Network for the Bahamas tonight at 11. It's the final newscast in the country with the latest news and information with Royston Jones. He's right over there in the building getting ready for the 11 o'clock news over there. For all of us here at ZNS, I'm Clint Watson. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night.
At Fort Montague, I'm Opal Roach. This is ZNS.